Hari Om, everyone. We shall start today's class. Then we shall start with the chanting first. So let's begin. Om Sahana Bhavatu Sahano Bhunaktu Sah Viryam Karva Vahai Tejasvinavadhitamastu ma vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Om Gananam Tva Ganapatigam Havamahe Kavim Kavinam Upamashravastamam Jeshtarajam Brahmanam Brahmanaspata Anashrinvanmutibhi Siddha Sadhanam. Om Shri Mahaganapataye Namaha. Saraswati Namastubhyam Varade Kamarupini Vidyarambham Karishyami Siddhir Bhavatu Me Sada. Gurur Brahma, Gurur Vishnu, Gurur Devo Maheshwaraha, Gurureva Param Brahma, Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha, Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Okay, so shall continue with the chanting that we started earlier. Let's see now. So we did the first line. Did we do the first line or the first mantra itself?
I believe we did the first lines up to
First
so
line, na?
I think we got up to
Gatum
Gatum.
Yajnapate. Okay.
Yeah, I think so.
Okay. Okay, then I'll just chant the full mantra, then we can pick up from where we left. Om Tachayyo Ravrinemahe Gatum Yagyaya Gatum Yagyapataye Devi Swastirastu Naha Swastir Manushebhyah Urdhvam Jigatu Bheshajam Sham no Astu Dvipade Sham Chatushpade. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. So, I think both of you can try the full first line. Let's see if you can do it or if there are any errors. So I'll just repeat the first line and then George and try first, then Manisha. Om Tachayyo Ravrinemahe Gatum Yagyaya Gatum Yagyapataye. George, you go.
Om Tachan Yora Ravanimahe Gatum Yajnaya Gatum Yajnya Pataye.
Okay, good. Try once more. Once more, the full line.
Ravanimahe Gatum Yajnya Gatum Yajnya Pataye.
Okay, good. Manisha, first line.
Om Tachayyo Ravanimahe Gatum Yagyaya Gatum Yagyapataye.
Okay, good, good. So we'll do the next word, next section. Devi Swastirastu Naha. Devi Swastirastu Naha. George, try.
Devi Swastirastunaha.
Good. And after the class, maybe check the recording and try and practice more, both of you, right? Manisha, Devi Swastirastu Naha. Manisha,
Devihi Swastirastu Naha.
once again.
Devihi Swastirastu Naha.
So don't pause in between. Devi
Okay.
swastirastu nah.
Devihi swastirastu nah.
Hmm.
No,
Okay.
sorry, I'll do that again.
Do it again, yes.
Devihi swastirastu nah.
Okay. A bit more flow. Devi swastirastu nah.
Devihi swastirastu nah.
Good, good. That's the way. Okay. Next. Swastir manushebhyah. Swastir manushebhyah. George.
स्वस्तिर्मानुषेभ्यः
Good. Good. Manisha.
Swasti manushe
Good, good. Next. Urdhvam jigatu bheshajam. Urdhvam jigatu bheshajam. George.
ऊर्ध्वम् ऊर्ध्वम् wait ऊर्ध्वम्
Urdhvam.
जात् ऊर्ध्वम् जागतु भेषजम्
Good. Once more. Try once more.
ऊर्ध्वम् ऊर्ध्वम् जेगतुम् जेगतु भेषजम्.
Okay, good. Try practicing after the class also, right? So next week I want both of you to have the slides in the perfect flow. Manisha,
ऊर्ध्व जिगातु भेषजम्
urdhvam jigatu bheshajam.
ऊर्ध्वं जिगातु भेषजम्.
Right. Chalo. So we'll do line by line. Today we'll finish the second line. Okay. So then let's start with the class. Nyaya Sutras. So just have a look at where we were last class. So we had done the 23rd sutra there. 23वां सूत्र हमने कर लिया था. So what we were looking at is in the case of buddhi. So buddhi we were looking at is that up to the 22nd we had seen actually. Indriyai manasah sannikasha abhavat tat panutpattihi. So Indriya and man. So the sense organs and the mind, as long as there is a connection between them, then it's fine. If there is no connection, then knowledge is not produced, right? So we have to be very careful here. The knowledge we are talking about is not just pure knowledge as such or the ability to know. The ability to know belongs to the Atma or the consciousness. And this is Vritti Jnanam. Vritti Jnanam, the thought that is born out of a contact with an object. The thought, this is an object, this is such and such object. That is the Jnanam we are talking about. So how is that born and how is it then stored or how is it then reproduced? These are the questions. These are the functions of buddhi or the intellect, and the buddhi is the one we are analyzing. What are we analyzing basically? What the main thing about the buddhi? Whether it is nitya, like akasha, whether it is eternal, because akash, at least for our lifetimes, is not seen to change. Or the change is very imperceptible. And then secondly, Akash being closest to Atma, so that is why it is taken because it is there in the manifest world. Then again, whether it is non-eternal, like the other thing, which we saw, which are two subtle things there. Buddhi, Akash, Buddhi is connected with Akash, and then anyone remembers what is the next? What is the other part that is being looked at? What is the other subtle thing that is being compared to buddhi here? Anyone remembers from the earlier class? Manisha, George, anyone remembers?
When you say something being compared to buddhi, do you mean as in an element, or
If you look at the beginning of the chapter, then buddhi and is compared with either with Akash and Karma. That's what I'm asking about.
okay?
Karma, right? Karma is the answer. Because buddhi is being compared with two things, karma and akash. So through the logical analysis, it is being analyzed whether it is eternal like the akasha or space, or whether it is non-eternal like karma, because karma keeps changing. Both are imperceptible. They are not visible directly to the eyes. You can't see the actual action happening. Action is only inferred from the movement of an object or the person performing the action. So that is the thing that is being analyzed here. So we are into the third chapter, second part, and we are looking at the 23rd sutra. So 22nd we have seen earlier, Indriya Manasa Sannikasha Bhava Tat Anupattihi. So when there is when the connection between the Indriya or the sense organs and the Manasa mind is there, when it is there, then knowledge is produced, but when it is not there, then knowledge is not produced. That is what is mentioned here, right? So then we look at the next one. Okay. So 3 to 23. We are starting today's class from here. Na utpatti karan anapdeshat. So na utpatti karan anapadeshat. So if we look at the buddhi, we have seen here, knowledge is produced in the intellect by whenever there is connect between the mind and the sense organs. But here is what is being said, na, no, utpatti, karan, a cause for it being born, anabdeshat. It is not being seen here. So what he is saying is that how do you prove that in the buddhi, in the intellect, there is any uh, production of knowledge, because the cause of production of knowledge is not visible, right? The cause of production of knowledge is not visible. We saw earlier also the example of the curd and the milk, where in the case of the curd and the milk, even if you don't see the cause, and you then of course the process is happening, so that means the cause, even though hidden, the action is still happening. So that is what was discussed earlier. So here it is, he's saying this again. Now utpatti karan anabdeshat, the buddhi producing knowledge is seen. The knowledge is seen, but the knowledge, how it is being produced, we can only make an inference, right? So how is this doubt being answered? Next, we'll look into the next one. So basically, the argument is why can there actually be a production of knowledge? Production is saying that the knowledge must already pre-exist and it just must be revealed. So the next one, it says Vinash Karan Anuplabdehe cha avasthane tat anityatva prasangah. Vinash Karan Anuplabde. The Vinash Karan, the cause of destruction of knowledge, anuplabdhe, even if it is not being available, not being observed, or not being directly available for perception. Cha avasthane. So even though the final product is visible to us, it is existing between us. It exists. Avasthane, sthita. It is visible to us. So tat nityatva prasanga. So there will be the cause for us accepting as uh, the nityatvam, the eternality of eternality of this knowledge produced. Okay, so where is the eternality of knowledge? What happens is when let us say that we were looking at if this knowledge is supposed to abide in the soul. Huh? It is a characteristic of the soul. So if knowledge is supposed to abide in the soul, then there has to be the doubt is being expressed that what is the soul? Soul is definitely eternal. That is proved by Shastra in all ways. And so if sound is the property of that soul, then the knowledge, then this knowledge that is born, that knowledge that exists in the soul, it should be a guna or a property of the soul. So then if it is a property of the eternal soul, then that means that the uh, knowledge also should be eternal. Knowledge should be eternal. So that means that this knowledge should never go away. It should eternally be available. But when we are talking about vritti jnanam, the thought process, the thought knowledge, that exists only as long as the object is being cognized and the mind is producing or the intellect is producing an aha moment, so to say, a moment where it is expressing that this is this object. Even though we are not saying it loud in words, it is something that is naturally happening within the intellect. The object is being cognized, and it's if there is a name associated with it, then it associates the name with that. Otherwise, it just knows from the form that this is such and such object, right? So even if you look at a flower whose name we do not know, we can say, yes, this is a flower, something that is growing on a plant. We have cognized the general form. So, विनाश कारण अनुपलब्धे च अवस्थाने tat anityatva pratsanga. So if knowledge is existing, if we consider it as a property of the soul, then in that case the property of the soul being eternal, that means the property itself should be eternal. That means that knowledge should be eternal, but that is not observed. That is not considered true. So when we look at any kind of quality, any kind of property, then what happens? What is the vinash karan for that? What is the vinash karan for any property? The vinash karan is that it can either be destroyed when the substratum for it, the substratum is destroyed, substratum of it is destroyed, or then if there is another quality that is coming in place of it. So like if some flower is colored, say red color, then we can apply some paint on top of that of blue color and make it appear blue. Even the flower is not actually blue. So in this way, this cognition, the property can be displayed. And in this case, this knowledge can also be understood to, be, and the knowledge can change. So now, firstly, we have to understand that the destruction of the abode is not possible. The Atma is there always. Atma is eternal. So that is not possible. Right? So, therefore, if knowledge has to be a quality of the soul, then we have to assume that it has to be eternal. This eternality is not being found here. So, to which the answer is given. Okay, so we have to remember clearly here the soul that we are talking about. We are talking about the individual soul, the Jivatma, right? So, anityatva grihat buddhehe buddhayah antarat vinash shabdavat, right? So, anityatva, something that is non-eternal. Anityatvat buddhe in the intellect. Then buddhi antarat vinash shabdavat. So buddhi, when it changes from one state to the other, antarat, when it changes, what is it comparable to shabdavat? Just like the shabda. So we say that buddhi is anitya because like Just like one knowledge is replaced by the other, that what can it be compared to? It can be compared to the way a shabda or a word that is that is said is then first one is destroyed, the second one is born, right? So whenever a word is said, then from the time it leaves the mouth till it reaches the ear of the other person, that word actually changes. Huh. So it is not the same word. It has undergone a lot of change in texture, pitch, and so on due to its travel through the air. So when that change happens, then it is similar to the one word being destroyed and the next one be produced, and so on into a chain till it finally reaches. Similarly, knowledge also is being here compared to, it is said that it is anitya only because buddhi is here the knowledge, the vritti gyan. So the knowledge that arises. So that knowledge is compared to the sound that is leaving the mouth and then it reaches another place and it keeps on changing. Similar in the same way, he's saying that we are saying that the one knowledge is getting changed to another, and therefore the buddhi has to be anitya only. It cannot be proved to be eternal, right? So if someone is saying that it's a property of the soul, then it should be eternal. Then we are saying that even if you consider it to be a property of the soul, then also it can be eternal. What is the basic logic behind that? That just like let us say even you compare it in the substratum wise, if you compare, then if you see the substratum for sound, what is the substratum for sound? शब्द किसका गुण है? Manisha? George is answering okay.
Akash.
Akash, right? So Akash here we are considering relatively nitya, pravahi nitya, or whichever we are considering eternal, right? So that Akasha gun being nitya, it is the Akasha is nitya, but the property is not nitya. So Purva Pakshi was saying, the opponent was saying that something that is a property of it, an eternal thing cannot, if it is a property of that, then the property also has to be eternal. So here we are seeing it is not true. So just like in the case of Akasha having Shabda which is a guna of Akasha, which is not nitya. Shabda is not nitya. In fact, all the gunas are not nitya. They keep changing with time and with the object they are associated with, right? So then because this guna is associated with any object that changes, the guna itself changes. And so Shabda changes from moment to moment, from the time it leaves the mouth of the person. And similarly, he's saying that even if we consider this Shabda to be the Buddhi to be a guna of this Jivatma, the individual soul, it can, of course, be non-eternal by that logic, right? So we move on to the next one then. So Jnana Samvet Atma Pradesh Sannikashat Manasah Smriti Utpattehe Na Yukpat Utpattihi. So here we are understanding, trying to understand where the knowledge is stored. So knowledge is stored where? In the Smriti. In the Smriti it is stored, and from there it is taken out. It is then taken out whenever it is required. Whenever there is a stimuli, there is a stimulus that jogs that memory. So Jnana Samvet Atma Pradesha. Jnana Samvet Atma Pradesha. So Jnana, the knowledge that is there, Samvet, when it is connected to what? The Atma Pradesh, to the soul, to the Atma. Atma Pradesh, wherever the soul is residing. So if it is the Jiva Atma, it is residing in this body. Of course, it is connected to the whole total consciousness or the total soul also. So in fact, it is residing everywhere. But the function is being held through this body itself. So in effect, that consciousness is what present, where it is present everywhere, outside, inside. And then we are saying the position of Nyaya is that if it is stored in the Smriti. So if it is stored in the Smriti, then it is fine. When the Smriti is, refreshed by a stimulus, then the knowledge again comes to the fore. Like I saw a flower earlier, then later I saw a tree, just the tree of the same plant. And I know that in that plant, even that same flower is not there. Like when I go to do my puja in the morning, I go outside and I pick up some flowers. So when I pluck the flowers, some of the trees will have the flowers, but some of them don't have because that day it has not bloomed, right? So still I know. So whenever I look at the tree, the image of that flower, it forms in my mind. So jnana samveta atma pradesh sannikat. Whenever there is a contact with the smriti, the picture again arises. But if it were the knowledge were associated with just the soul, then what would happen is that the mind would then have to come in contact with the Atma. The Atma can also be outside the body. So how can that happen? That is being said. So when, uh, because the soul being ever present, omnipresent, then only the soul being omnipresent, then only this knowledge can again be brought to the fore. So what is the basic thing being said here? The basic thing being said here is the mind is necessary in between to pick up a memory from the uh, smriti, from the memory. So man, buddhi, chit, ahankar, the four parts of the inner instrument or the antakaran. Sometimes the whole antakaran is referred to a man, but actually the mana is the one where the thoughts, the sankalp vikalp happens. And the buddhi is where the final knowledge arises. Smriti is where the knowledge is stored. And ahankar is the doer, the one who says, I have observed this, or this knowledge is now known to me. I know this, the knower. So that is ahankar. So in the chitta or in the smriti, the thoughts are stored, right? So there we are saying this same thing where sannikash. What is this sannikash doing? The contact, the first point of origination of the knowledge. What did it do? The knowledge was born from a direct contact with the object. From a direct contact with the object, right? So in this direct contact, what happens? Mind connected with the indriya, sense organ, the sense organ connected with the final object outside, the vastu or the dravya. So whenever that is cognized, this trio of contacts has to happen. So there this is happening. But when in the case of something where the object is not before us, then it can be through a stimulus. It can just be through normal remembrance. I am remembering the day, and so that thing can come. So what is happening when I'm remembering the day? Then what is coming into function? Smriti. Smriti. So smriti or that recollection residing in the chitta, then the Atma cannot cognize that smriti. The Atma cannot go directly towards the smriti and make it function. Why? Because Atma is forever in contact with the smriti, and Atma cannot be a doer. It cannot act upon something. It cannot do any action. It can through its previous experiences of this body, it can have rag, dvesh, ichha, dvesh we saw in the earlier sections, but it cannot directly look for a particular memory and bring it to the fore. So for that, the contact between the manasa and the smriti, that has to happen. It cannot be directly done by the atma itself, right? So there we are saying is that when in the case of uh, any jnana that is born out of contact with the smriti or the chitta, then that connection has to be established by the mind. So how does the mind go about it? 27th. ना अंतः शरीर वृत्तित्वात् मनसः. ना अंतः शरीर वृत्तित्वात् मनसः. So for that, he's saying, na antaha sharir vrittitvat manasa. Antaha, internally, internal, sharir vrittivat, inside the body. It's the thoughts being existing in the body. Hmm. So it is, this cannot be possible also. So the manasa, what is the mind? The mind is always dwelling within the body itself. The mind is always dwelling within the body itself. So any Vishaya, anything outside the mind, it cannot cognize. Remember, we are talking about the memory here. Huh? So with the association with the memory. So we say that any thought that is raised from the memory has to happen within ourselves only. So the mind can contact the smriti that exists also within this body, and then that knowledge can be brought to the fore. So the mind always dwells within the body. It cannot contact the atma. Like, some people say that they can cognize something beyond their body or outside their thought process. That is always born out of some kind of previous contact. Some people will say, I one of my friends is coming today, and suddenly that friends come. So he says, look, I had this feeling in my heart. So it is born out of a natural experience from earlier times, that it has happened so long, there has been a long time, or maybe through some indirect inference he has drawn that. So that is a kind of prediction that can never be always true. But it happens to a lot of people. Why? Because they are sensitive to the things around them, sensitive to the people around them. But when you are talking about the internal thoughts, then whatever is dwelling in the memory, it can be brought to the fore only by the mind itself. That is being said here. Mind being always antah vrittivat, antah sharira vrittivat. The mind and its thoughts are within this body itself. It cannot go outside the body. Mind always dwells within the body. So any knowledge that is existing in the Atma, which is outside the body, that cannot be known. So that is why also we cannot know the thoughts of another person. We cannot read the thoughts. We can know what a person is thinking by maybe a facial expression which shows pain, pleasure, surprise, whatsoever. Or maybe we can gauge from something that is being said at the common time. No, when we are sitting with a friend, like, and we are watching a movie, and then suddenly a scene comes, and then we say, "Oh, it reminds me of something we did together." Right? So maybe I can tell what he's thinking, but how? Through some kind of common action or common perception. That is how we are able to say. But it cannot be that I can enter the mind of another person. A lot of people read minds. How do they read that? They read the faces, they read the feelings, they read what they have asked the questions. They ask questions which are pointed, and then they know that this person will, be thinking this. So in this way, it happens. But whenever the memory is being brought out to the fore, and an image again, a knowledge again is being produced, that knowledge has to be in the form of some kind of uh, stimulus that is given to the through the sense organs, and from that it is carried to the mind, and due to that stimulus, the mind looks for that particular memory. It goes to the smriti and brings it out. So the mind is functioning within the body only. It cannot be it cannot connect with the atma pradesh, the atma, that the part of the atma that is outside the body. Atma is everywhere, but only the part within the body is doing the act of cognition. There, the knowledge it is picking up through contact with the smriti. And of course, consciousness is necessary. Without consciousness, that thing cannot happen. So, na anta sharira vrittitvat manasaha. Okay. So should we accept this thing? We have said the mind is functioning within the body. Sadhyatvat ahetu. He says, this you have not given a proof for that. How are you assuming this? How are you assuming that the mind is functioning within the body? It cannot go outside the body. So if the Nyaya Sadhyatvat, what is your Sadhya? What you have to prove? Sadhya we use the same words in an earlier sutra also. When Nyaya is refuting the other system. So here he is giving back a taste of his own medicine. He's saying, you have to prove first that the mind is residing within the body. How can you assume? How can you assume? You are saying that the mind is residing within the body only. Therefore, it cannot grab the cognitions outside the body belonging to the soul, which is not available to it, because the mind cannot go outside. So you should give me some logic for that. Sadhyatvat ahetu. Because uh, even though Nyayik is saying the Nyaya theory is saying that the mind is coming, connecting to the soul within the body. So others says that you cannot give. We need more proof to say it. Maybe it is possible that the mind can move outside the body or sense things outside the body. So that is what we have to do. So mind does not go outside the body. It is the sense organs that go outside the body. They cognize the things outside and they bring the input for the mind to analyze and form an opinion. And then the buddhi gives the final knowledge. Buddhi gets the final knowledge. So another logic is being given here for this condition of the mind. How it is possible for the mind to go outside the body. Smaratah sharir dharana upapattehe apratishedah. Smaratah sharir dharana upapatte apratishedah. So, smaratah, the person who is doing the act of recollection, the one whose memory is function, sharir dharan upapattehe. So, he knows that something is he is functioning through the body. Sharir dharan upapatte. He is functioning through the body. The person doing the act of recollection. Apratisheth. So this pratished cannot be done. So whenever someone is doing an act of recollection, whenever he's doing some act of recollection, so then what happens is that the sharir dharan upapate, the holder of the body, the one mind functioning through the body, during the time of memory, the rest of the things stop functioning. It is called stabdi bhava. So stabdi bhava. So in stabdi bhava, what is happening is sometimes when I'm trying to remember something, I cease to notice also what is happening around me. It's just like a daydream, or just like normally also I'm focusing inwards. So in this way, he's saying that what he is actually trying to say is that in that period of time, what is actually happening? He's saying that in that period of time, the mind is actually moving outside the body. Mind is actually outside the body. So the sharir is stabdaha, sharir is not moving, or sharir is sort of unfocused, or the sense organs are not function. So he's saying in just that instant of time, maybe the mind is moving out of the body, then connecting with the soul outside, and then again coming back. So that is the logic we said. So he's trying to say that the mind could have been moving outside the body. Smaratah sharir dharan upapattehe apratishedah. Na tad ashu gatitvat manasah. Na tad ashu gatitvat manasah. So tat ashu gatitvat manasah. So for that, how is it possible? He's saying that the mind being of ashu gatitvat, being very swift in movements. So in this way, it can move outside the body and contact with the Atma and come back. So that is the reasoning he's given for the mind being able to move out of the body and the being able to cognize things outside it. So it being so what is the basis there? If the mind will totally leave the body, what will happen? The act of death itself is defined as the dissociation of the mind or the sukshma sharira from the Sthul Sharir, from the gross body, right? So when the mind is disconnected from the gross body, then the death occurs. But here he's saying that because mind is of very swift nature, even though it is very subtle, very minuscule in size, but because of its fast speed, it is able to move outside of the body and then grasp a cognition and come back. So in this way, Ashu Gatitvat, because of its fast speed, the mind is able to go outside the body, grab a cognition, and come back. So, however, it can be possible or not, that will be refuted next. Mind on account of its swift motion can move out of the body and come back. So if the mind moves out of the body, then what will happen is it has to be very quick. It has to be very quick, and then for an instant it will go and come back. Then only this thing is possible. So this is refuted in the following way. Na smaran kal aniyamat. Na smaran kal aniyamat. So what we are refuting here, Nyaya is refuting how that mind cannot, even if it is going outside, then you cannot say that it returns instantly, because smaran kal, the period for which we are doing the act of remembering, the act of smriti, or trying to remember something, that smaran kal, the time for which we are doing, aniyamat, that is not decided. So sometimes we can, go into a memory for a few seconds, and then it will come to us. So that much is fine. You can hold your breath for a few seconds and it will be fine. But you cannot hold your breath infinitely. Maybe I think people can hold up to 2 minutes like that, or some have done some they will faint, and there is some world record for I think 9 minutes. So whatever be the case, but he's saying the smaran kal aniyamat. The prana is just the less subtle of these. Less subtle of the inner instrument. What is the prana composed of? Anyone remembers from Tattva Bodha? Out of the 5 elements, they are divided into Sattvansh, Rajasansh, and the Tamasansh. The Sattva part, the Rajas part, and the Tamas part. So, prana comes from which part?
Rajas.
Rajas, right? Good, very good. So pran rajas bhag se aata hai. It comes from the rajas part of the 5 elements, right? From all the 5 elements together, the rajas part becomes the prana. Right? So rajas is more subtle, or sattva is more subtle? Sattva is more subtle, right? Sattva is definitely more subtle. Tamas is the least subtle. That is why the actual objects are tamasa. So all the objects are tamasgrasi. They cannot even move. They don't have any movement of their own. So sattva is the most subtle. So mind comes out from the subtle part, right? So obviously, if this rajas part, of course, it can stay dissociated for so long. But the mind being very subtle, so even if it leaves for a very short time, it will still mean the body will die, body will finish its lifespan. But we are saying that a smriti can go on for a long time. Sometimes people can go for maybe hours also dwelling on a memory, and their body is like totally relaxed, or they are not listening to anything. It happens sometimes in states of deep grief, or sometimes also the reverse, in state of deep joy. Someone has maybe won a cricket or badminton tournament, and then he's living his memories of that, and for a long time is lost in those thoughts. So that logic given here is the kala niyamat, the time for which the smaran kal aniyamat. So the smaran kal can be long, very very long also. So during that time, if the mind goes out of the body for such a long period, then it is not possible that the body will survive. So that means the mind is not moving out of the body. then we go on to the next sutra. So, Atma Preran Yadricha Gyatabhischa na Sanyog Visheshaga. Atma Preran Yadricha Gyatabhischa na Sanyog Visheshaga. So when there is Atma Preran, something that is impelled by the Atma. Everything that happens is due to the impetus given by the Atma. Without the consciousness, no kind of Preran or activity can happen. So, Yadricha, something happens suddenly of its own. Akasmat is said in Hindi. Something happens suddenly. Gyatabihi. So, the Gyan is knowledge. Gyata is the ability to know. What has the ability to know? The mind. The mind, when acted upon by the consciousness, has the ability to know. Cha na sanyog visheshaha. So because there is no, whenever there is a impulsion by the Atma, then there is no peculiar conjunction of the soul with the mind, either because the mind is being acted by the soul in search of something what it wishes to, something is searching for in the memory, or because it is knows what is happening in the memory. So here what the logic is that when you're saying that the mind can go out of the body, then we are saying that the mind cannot move out of the body, because how will it go out of the body? How will it go out of the body? Who is going to be the agent for that movement? So if we say that the soul is the one who is, sending the mind to gather some particular memory. So how can the soul do that? No, because soul, if it is sending the mind to gather a particular memory, then obviously the soul itself, being eternal or being present everywhere, it has access to the memory. So that means the soul already possesses the memory. So why will it send the mind to collect the memory? And then if you take the other opposite, so if you say that the mind moves on its own for some particular kind of recollection, then we have to accept that the mind actually is the knower. It is Chetan, but mind is not really so. We know that mind is Achetan. And also, other thing can happen is that the mind is connecting with the soul without any reason. Akasmat. The word is given here is Yadricha. So if Yadricha is also happening, then what will happen with Yadricha? Everything will become haphazard. There will be no sequence of recollection. The recollection will not be associated with the way the objects are being perceived. I will be seeing a mirror in front of me and I will feel that I'm looking at a watch. So that thing will happen. So in this way, we are saying that because this Atma Preran, the knowledge of Atma Preran Yadricha, these three things, these three ways in which the Atma can, come in contact with any knowledge, or, make the mind get in contact with any knowledge. All of these three are not possible, because neither can the Atma be the propeller of the mind to go in search for knowledge, because already the Atma has access to the knowledge. Neither it can happen Yadricha, neither it can happen on its own, and neither also it can happen in a way that the mind moves on its own, because the mind is Jada. So therefore we say that the act of Atma Preran we saw in the earlier sutra is not possible. The Atma cannot be the source or the reason for any knowledge to occur. So the first contact has to be with the Atma of the Atma. The first contact has to be the mind and the Smriti. There only the recollection can happen. Of course, it has to be propelled by the Atma. So any knowledge can only be born out of that contact only. The Atma cannot do the act of obtaining any knowledge, because of ayukpata. The knowledge is non-simultaneous. It never occurs at the same time. One knowledge comes, other goes. So in this way, this Atma cannot be the substratum for that knowledge itself. The knowledge has to be stored in the smriti. So we are on to the next sutra, which will need the reply in the next two sutras also. So just have a look at it and look at the question. Maybe you can ponder on it. It's nothing very tough. व्यास व्यासक्तः मनसः पाद व्यथनेन संयोग विशेषेण समान. So vyasakt manasah. So if you split it up, V plus asaktah. V asaktah. Some vishesh asakti. Some special connection is happening. Where? Manasa, in the mind. Then pad vyathanen. At the same time, what is happening? There is a pain in my foot. Let's say a thorn is getting inserted into my foot. So like I'm reading something or I'm watching my mobile. So what is happening? My mind is engrossed in that object of which object on which I'm focusing. So during that time when the object I'm focusing with is happening, at the same time, mind is doing two things. What are the two things? It is observing the mobile or whatever thing is before me, and it is also being pricked by the prick of a thorn is also cognized by the mind. So sanyog visheshena samanam. So in this case, that sanyog vishesh, the sanyog vishesh, this sanyog is happening simultaneously. So right. So here the simultaneousness of the mind is being questioned. That mind can have two parallel knowledge happening, two parallel observations happening, where I am reading a book in the mobile, or I'm watching something in the mobile, or maybe I'm just watching TV. But have to be during that time something pricks my foot, so the same cognition takes place. So what is the answer for that? The answer is that there will always be a minuscule time difference between those two cognitions. So that we'll see in the next sutras. So I think we'll wind up for today. The time is up, and we'll continue next week. So anything you want to ask for, any doubts or maybe anything I was unclear about? George, Manisha?
So is someone, so is the opponent trying to suggest that the Atman moves depending on the movement of the mind?
No, the Atman cannot move. Atman is everywhere. It is ever present. It cannot move. So he is saying that the mind itself can have simultaneous cognitions. Mind can have no two things at the same time. So basically he's saying that the mind is present all over the body. Okay. So, but actually what happens is any cognition happens in sequence. So that is he's trying to, attack with this example. That in this example, I am engrossed with one thought, and at the same instant I feel the prick, and so that happens. But what happens is the prick happens, impetus is carried to the mind, and then only the mind knows. So in that moment, our attention wavers from the mobile or whatever thing I'm looking at towards the thorn. So it is one cognition after the other. So that is in the next sutra. So we'll continue. I think we'll take it up later. So anything else today about today's class, Manisha? Any questions?
No, all good.
Yes?
All good.
All good? Okay. Okay, then I think we'll wind up for today. Om Purnamadav Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vishishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. हरि ओम श्री गुरुभ्यो नमः हरि ओम Okay, so we finished today's class. Thank you both for coming. How was your week? George, how did you do last week? Everything fine?
Yeah, I think things are good. Yeah, so on Friday I had a couple of job interviews, and
Mm-hmm.
I've been given an offer.
Okay. You asked something in the class. I think it takes some time to answer that. That's why you can call me. I told you, you can call me whenever you like. Okay.
Sure, sure.
Did
Brilliant.
you message it in the group or you gave me a private message?
I think I gave you a private message. So my question was about Darpanam. So in certain
Prapanam.
systems,
Yeah.
traditions, one performs a mantra Puracharanam. So let's say a mantra is 6 syllables, then one would normally do
Mm-hmm.
6 lakh mantras or 6,000 malas, and
Mm-hmm.
then after that one would, in certain traditions,
Yeah.
one would do a Darpanam for that deity. So like a small homa or something, for that deity.
Yeah, of course, because everything that you do in our systems, there is a process. So if there is, if you have done like a Purascharanam, so in that it might be like every single syllable, it might be 1 lakh. Some say 1,25,000. Right. So there, what you are doing is you are focusing your mind on the deity. You are surrendering to that deity, and you are giving him total control over yourself. Right, that control is done. So what after that you have, after giving that total control, you have to do a formal ceremony. Yes, okay, I accept that, and so therefore be with me always, bless me always. So that for that the formal ceremony is you do a homa and you do a tarpanam. So some will say only homa is sufficient, some will say a tarpanam is only sufficient, but the general rule is you do both. So you do like 10% of the mantras you do. So 1,25,000. So 12,500 you use minimum for a homa. And then another 10% of that is 1,250 with which you do the tarpanam, or maybe if it is 1 lakh, then it will be 1,000. So in this way, you with those, you have to do that tarpanam. So once you do that, it's like you have formalized the procedure, you have completed the puja. Then maybe for some deities, it said you again start again. Huh? So every process, we have seen there are so many stories also. No, there is one story of Anubhavananda. So he was given his mantra and he completed that. He did the Purascharanam, he did the Tarpanam, and yet he didn't get a darshanam of the deity, and he was very sad. But then he was a bit angry and all that. So uh, even his mala also was taken away by a bird. But ultimately, when then he sat down again in prayer and full surrender, it was said that that was the final state of even after Tarpanam. Because sometimes the deity will test you even after that. You have given your full devotion, you have given your the formal procedure, but even at the end of that, if that hunger for you for the deity, hunger for darshanam is not there, the deity will not come to you. It really has to come out of you. It really has to be, yes, I cannot do without you. I want you near me. Oh my Lord, you should be present in front of me. I want to talk to you. So when that depth is there, then even you go stage beyond tarpanam also. But of course, most cases it is sufficient, because what is a connection with the deity? Once the mantra resonates in your mind, no, that image slowly starts building in front of you. That deity starts picturing is in front of you, and he will come to you. But of course, for some you say, even so many mantras is not necessary. The intensity of your worship, your devotion is sufficient to bring the deity in front of you. So it depends a lot of factors. Huh? So is someone will say, some guru will say, Tarpanam is not necessary because he himself has done it instantly. Paramahansa. So Ramakrishna Paramahansa. Instant. So deep, such deep intensity of devotion that the Lord appears. Such a bhakta he cannot ignore. He knows this bhakta is fully dependent on me. ये मेरे बिना रह ही नहीं सकता. ये मेरा ही है. I belong to him, he belongs to me. That kind of love, when it is there, it happens instantly. But the proper procedure is you go through all three stages. Month. Huh? So Purusharanam, Homa, Tarpanam. You can skip maybe the Homa and just do the Tarpanam. But even after Tarpanam, as I said, there is a story that the Lord tested the devotion. So that is how it goes about. Not everyone has darshan, no? Right? Yes. Even a few days back, just I interact with some people, and this guy was very angry with Krishna, and he said, "I want to beat him with a stick." So I said, if your intensity is severe enough, no, he will come to you. Just try, keep trying. Same thing, no, he was like, no, he's not, I'm thinking about him, I'm worshipping him, he's not appearing. Same kind of thing. Sometimes even for a negative emotion, the Lord will come in front of you. If your love is sincere enough.
Wait. So he said that he wanted to beat Krishna with a stick because he didn't appear.
Yeah.
and then just imagine that he does appear and he goes, so so you wanted to.
So I didn't say
So
much. I said, just you try. Let's see. First you have to bring him in front of you, no? Then only you can beat him with a stick. So, some people do that way, they are naughty with the deity, unless I'm angry with you. You don't come. So then if the love is genuine, the deity will come. He will take the scolding of the devotee also. He's there for
Yeah.
everything. Right?
So going back to the question, so why would someone do Darpanam or Homa?
Yes, because you know it's a procedure. First you are doing, how do you move in every way, in every kind of sadhana? You move from the Sukshma to the Sthula, right? So who is the deity there? The deity is what is the Swarupa of the deity? He's Sukshma. Sukshma है ना? दिख नहीं रहे हैं आपको अभी तक तो अव्यक्त में है. He's still in the unmanifest. But why will he make manifest for you? He's not manifest to anyone else. Is not manifest to anyone else. So you have to move your sadhana also from sukshma to sthula also. Something it is sukshma enough is itself is sufficient. But no, you have to do some sthula. Unless you do a daily arti, then just that internal worship sometimes is not enough. For some people, the intensity is sufficient. Your intensity for a certain object is sometimes sufficient for it to manifest before you. But you have to do the sthula part also. So, sukshma is the internal chanting, do by the mind. Homa, you do by your karmendriya, action. Homa is the karma, it is action. Tarpanam is the final, the most grossest part, right? Where you take the materials together. You don't burn them in the fire, you keep them in front, you offer water to it. And so that Tarpanam is the grossest part of it. So you have to complete the full process from the subtle to the gross. That is the prescribed way. But of course, you can go beyond that. But if it is not done properly or completely, then it won't happen. No? So that is why you have to go for it. It is suggested by those who go by the proper tradition that you have to do it.
So it is another reason because obviously Homer's work with fire with Agni, and anyway all deities arise from Agni, from the fire element in the subtle body. So is it almost that you are invoking the presence of the deity through Agni?
Through Agni.
In a way,
through Agni, because you have to feed him also,
no?
no? You have to give him, you have to make an offering to him. So that offering will, it will bring him to you. So you have to do all the parts, right? So Agni, of course, he's the postman, we say, of the Devtas. He carries all your messages to the Devtas. So first you have to feed him first, then he will take your offering to the gods, the one you are worshipping. So every, yeah.
Is it also that so during, let's say, when one is doing one's Purasharanam, the deity becomes present in one's mind stream, whereas when one does the Darpanam and Homa, the deity actually in a way is actually invoked through
Yeah.
the fire, through the
Yeah,
flames.
he'll
So in a
come
way,
he'll
they're
come in
more
front
present.
of you. Yes. So in the Homa, sometimes he can appear in the form of the smoke, so subtly visible. And then in Tarpanam, you will say it come in fully in his visible form, right? So, but yes, again, if the desire is strong, he will come in the physical form also. But usually, what happens is when you are doing a mental japa, the image of the deity comes into your mind. You are able to see
Mm,
a lot of the things about the deity that maybe you have not even read about. I have seen examples
mm,
like that. The
mm,
seen, certain aspects of the deity which are written in books, but I have not read that book, or that person has not read
mm,
that book. But then again, when we
mm,
checked that book, then yes, we found, okay, yes, Vishnuji has a green gem on
mm,
his neck. I thought it was blue always. So when darshanam
mm,
happens, then that thing that is revealed to you is the actual truth, and it is verified by
mm,
some scripture, someone who has written down. So it has to some
mm.
scripture that has to be come from a rishi, and not just any person. So that is why we trust the scriptures. No, we classify them, shruti, smriti, and so on.
So so do homers and tarpanams in a
Hmm.
way facilitate the darshanam, or do they make the deity more? Do they
Yeah.
in a way help with the process of having darshanam of the deity?
Yeah. Darshanam, it happens. Like I tell you, in the case of Homa, what is happening? Let's say you are invoking Indra. Huh. So even if you are
Mm,
not seeing the Lord Indra, what is Indra bringing?
mm,
He's bringing rain to you. The rain will come. So that is equivalent to
mm,
Darshanam. People instantly become, they fold hands and they become
mm,
overwhelmed when that rain comes. Why? Because they had prayed to the Lord and he had heard their prayer. And so
mm.
it is like a darshanam to them only. It is like a darshanam,
Okay.
right? Chalo. Okay, we'll wind up for today then. Thank you both for coming. Have a wonderful day and a wonderful week ahead. Manisha, George, love you both. Take care. Bye.
Okay. Okay, bye. Bye. Bye.
Bye, beta.